So we never have talked about this on the show prior to tonight, and I will be very frank. It took, I think I sent you the direct message on Sunday night just saying, what if we start to watch One Piece on Netflix, which dropped last week.
Yeah.
And neither of us have read the Manga,
yeah.
Manga, or seen the anime show. It's the longest running anime show, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It's over 1,000 episodes. It's insane.
It's insane, yeah. I think the only thing comes close is Naturo or something like that.
Yeah. It's just, and I've heard about this anime because I'm a K-pop fan, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we will not be going down. But I've heard about it, and I think we talked about the trailer maybe a few months ago when it first dropped. Neither of us were too keen on covering it, but because we're kind of in somewhat of a drought right now, we thought, why not we give it a try? So we're gonna cover it. Even though all the episodes are out, we're gonna still, like I mentioned earlier, tonight just focus on the first episode because I haven't watched any other episode. And then start covering 2 episodes at a time, and then end it with a final review of the final episode as well as the season in general. I really like this episode. I thought it reminds me in a way a lot of how I felt about the first episode of Ahsoka, where it was simple. It had a lot to do, clear world building. It allowed you to understand that this isn't a small story. This is a grand story, while at the same time being simple enough to where it's like, okay, we're getting the crew together. I'm sorry, they're not a crew, but they are a crew. And we're getting some insight. And there were some good parallels. I will have to admit, part of the reason why I initially did not want to talk about One Piece was because just on the trailers alone, I was not very impressed with the costumes, the cinematography, or anything. Having watched the first episode, I'm at peace with it. Mainly because the fans of the actual anime and the books, they are obsessed with it. It is very true to what they know, and I'm like, if they're fine with it and they think it's spot on, then I have no reason to complain.
Yeah. I mean, there's been plenty of adaptations that we know from, like Alita and some others, that if the manga, anime fandom, if it's trash, they will let you know. And I had saw the same reaction as well, where it's just like everyone was just praising the transition from animation to live action.
And Netflix put money behind this. Like, we haven't got serious CGI scenes yet. I know it's coming in future episodes, but I think that they did put enough money to where I think we have a solid starting point, and I wasn't thinking to myself while watching this, oh, that's clearly green screen. They're clearly on a set right now. No, I was just, there's something about it where it felt much more like a play.
Yeah. Yes.
Just based on the costumes alone, it felt very much like a play, and we were just following along. They did some quick time jumps, because we the one nitpick I have, or maybe not the one, but the one I can think of at the moment, is I found it a bit jarring how we get introduced to Zoro and Nami in these separate scenes. And then 5 minutes later, they're suddenly all in the same place with Colby and Luffy in the same bar. And I'm like, how did everyone get here so quickly? What is happening? And then it was just like, no, they needed to get here. We're not going to dilly-dally. We're going to get straight to it. We need to set up this crew so we can get going, which is good. And Luffy, I thought he was going to drive me crazy. I thought he was going to be horrible. Mm-hmm. He's not horrible. He grew on me. He's not my favorite character. I don't have a favorite character at the moment, I'll be honest. But I was surprised by, especially by the end of this episode, how much I was like, you're in charge? Got it. I'm good with it. You're a bit stretchy. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was so, whenever you messaged me about this, and, you know, I messaged you back, I was like, it'll be fun to talk about something new. Right. And explore and discover it together, because both of us, this is truly a series where we're both coming in at the same place, where, you know, neither one of us knows the lore, neither one of us knows all the ins and outs about it. So if there are any of our listeners who are also first timers to this IP, you know, enjoy the ride with us, because we're going to be discovering it together.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, I was looking forward to this after watching the episode last night. I was really looking forward to our discussion, because I just feel like, I mean, yes, this is a clear, well-established universe, a lot of fandoms. I mean, it was like shot to #1 on Netflix already. Season 2's already been greenlit, apparently.
Yeah.
But for me, as someone who, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars guy, and, you know, and Marvel, all that kind of stuff, I was looking forward to it, because it's just refreshing to talk about something new. And you're right, it did feel like a play when when I started watching this, and and like you, after I got past the 10-minute mark or so, and I wasn't like reaching for my phone, then I was like, next thing I know, like the hour it was like a 64-minute episode. And once I got to the end, I was just like, I really had to stop myself and be like, no, I can't go to the second one now. It's late. I gotta get some sleep, because I really did this, as you said, it was great world building. They did all the necessary pieces to introduce these characters, and in a very engaging way. Luffy did. I had the same reaction. I was like, oh God, this kid's gonna like drive me. I don't know. But then when he's like dumping the water off the boat, and then he's like jumping in the barrel, and apparently I did watch a podcast today with someone who had, you know, who has the history, and apparently this was a much bigger sequence, but all those little things worked. And I was like, oh, I gotta see where this kid's end up. And then when he gets the Kobe ship with Captain Aveda, and I liked I liked one of the things about setting things up. I liked how they set the characters up with the bounty, because we're dealing with pirates.
Right.
And so when they had the, like, you know, the wanted dead or alive and the bounty and how much it was and stuff. And so, you know, give some context to Zoro, and also also Luffy as well, because he wants to be king of the pirates. So, it did all the right things as far as just setting things up. So for me, as a person who, other than seeing like, oh yeah, I've seen this anime character, but really had no context for beyond just, you know, coming across it on social media or whatever, I got immersed in the world, and it really brought me in. Unlike, you know, a show that didn't do that for me last year, which was an established universe, but, you know, in a different time period, Rings of Power, which is another show that invested heavily on set and special effects, like Netflix did with One Piece. But I think this show did a better job of just opening up that world.
Yeah, man, Rings of Power. God, wow, I keep forgetting that show happened. But it did. It just, to compare them, they're, again, the only word I can really use is simple. This is just simple. But it's not simple where I feel like they think the audience is stupid.
No.
they know their story, not their story, but their lore. The world is vast and wide, and they have a lot to get to. But they just need, in this moment, in this episode, for the viewer to take away, Luffy wants to be a pirate. Zoro wants to be the best swordsman. Nani is a thief and hates pirates, but has some history. And then Colby wants to be a Marine. Like, they're setting the stage. They don't need to bore, like, 500 years ago, this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
like all of the stuff, and just monologue after monologue. Like the dialogue, nobody talked too much.
Yeah,
Everyone had something to say. They said it, and it was moving on. And it was very simple conversations, and a lot of things that are hinting at history that's going to be told later on in the show, and also leading to characters that we still have yet to discover. Because one of the things I like about this show so far is, did we get a mustache twirling villain? We got like 4 of them.
We got 4 of them. We got Axam Morgan. He was kind of mustache twirly. We got his son.
Yeah, Vita was there.
Yeah.
We get this and that, but we also don't stick with them long enough, and they're not the big one. I found it interesting that they did a good job of very subtly, in my opinion, of being like, Luffy wants to be a pirate. Pirates are bad. And then we get the context around why he thinks that they're good. And that's because he meant the right kind of pirate. Yeah. And then that's how he ends up seeing something in Zoro, where Zoro has built his career around capturing pirates.
Yeah, I love that. What he did with Seven, the bounty.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then yet he comes across Luffy, and suddenly, well, you're not a pirate. You helped me out. Like, maybe Zoro just hasn't met the right kind of pirate. And then you have Colby and that whole situation at the very end, which I thought was cool, where again, Colby chooses to stay behind because even though he lost faith a little bit in the Marines, and like not all Marines are good, some of them are bad, he, like Luffy, are just like, but that's what I want to be, and I know I'm not going to be that type of pirate or that type of Marine. So I think they did a lot of good parallels throughout the episode.
Yeah, they did. I'm still with Nami. I know she was the thief, and we're sort of getting. I like the way they introduced her, because they took the damsel in distress trope, and when she lured that other ship in, and then and then whenever they like go over there, and then the next thing you know, she's on the ship just going away. I was just like, oh yeah, this is my kind of show.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I was like, oh, nice. Moving on.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, just those kind of things. And like even with Zoro, with like whenever they were in the bar, and like the little girl with the rice balls and stuff. And, he has this, even though originally he was kind of standoffish or whatever, he does have a code. And whenever, Axel Morgan's son started his shit, he, Zoro like took care of it. But then also, in that same scene, you had like, you could see where Kobe was still that very fearful character. Like, well, Luffy was just like enjoying all this stuff. He's like taking it all in, but all the, Kobe was just so like, still so traumatized by his being, Captain Aveda's pet and all. It really, again, great setup in this episode, because even though, like you said, the dialogue was very straightforward and very simple, there was a lot of like nonverbal acting and nonverbal things that were going on that just added much more levels to these characters
Right.
that, like, as you said, I don't have a favorite one yet, but they all did certain things to make me want to, that it made me immediately invested in them, that I want to continue the series.
Yeah, yeah. I did not get bored during the big action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you why. And it's because there were the action itself wasn't boring because not everyone was fighting the same way.
Right.
And I thought it was very interesting how each of them were fighting. And in a way, Luffy was even kind of learning how to fight, and they were kind of learning how to fight together, as not a crew.
Yep.
And emphasis on not. And so I thought that was interesting, because oftentimes with the big fight scenes, it's just like everyone does the same thing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, boring.
Yeah.
I've
Boring,
seen this, but I haven't seen this crew fight. And so it was a good, fighting match. And to go to your point about the dialogue, I want to ask you this question. At the end, we meet two characters. We first meet Garp.
Yeah.
And I had to look up who he was. I not who he was, but just his name, just because they didn't say it in the scenes. I was like, I need to know who this person is. And so Garp is like the big man on top, the commander of the Marines or something. He's high on the food chain. I don't know if he's the highest. I have yet to know, but he's pretty high up there. And he gets word about what happens in Shelltown and how Luffy, or a pirate in a straw hat,
Yep.
steals the map to the Grand Line. And they decide to turn around. They're already looking for something. They were on the lead to something else that I'm sure we'll find out down the road. But they turned around. Now, was it just me? I get the impression, just the way it was said and the reaction to his right-hand man, or from his right-hand man, I get the impression a pirate in a straw hat, maybe alluding to some kind of marine superstition, like a marine prophecy that this person will take down the Marines. I don't know why, but my mind went there. It's just we can't turn around. We're doing this right now. Like, this is our biggest lead that we've ever had to go get these people, and you want to turn around. And maybe I'm placing too much emphasis on a pirate in a straw hat, and just the fact that the map to the Grand Line was stolen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. Or, I mean, I guess the pirate in a straw hat, I mean, because with Luffy, I mean,
it just seems like in a fantasy genre, there's always that prophecy of the one. They're usually some kind of fairy tale about, like, oh, this person will change the world forever if successful, and they don't know that they are the one until, like, kind of down the road. But and again, I could be totally reading into it, and all it was the fact that he stole the Grand Line map, because that leads into the other final credit scene where we meet Buggy it's Buggy the Clown Pirate. Yeah, okay. Who also hears about the map being stolen, but that's his map. And so but we have both the bad pirates and the Marines now are after Luffy and his not crew.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I guess that's to your point of, as far as the world building and everything that they set up at the very, very beginning of the episode with the one pirate. I can't remember his name, who was executed, and he shares his treasure, and of course all hell breaks loose in the town when everybody just scampers out of there to try to find on the quest to find the map and find the treasure. So I think you have something there. I think there's definitely something there. I don't, clearly, since don't know any of the lore and stuff, haven't done any, I was very careful to only listen to one show where they talked about episode 1, so I wouldn't get spoiled about anything else. And, so I don't know, but I'm like you, I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey takes us.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, on that note, and no spoilers, guys. If you're gonna spoil someone, just spoil Will.
No, don't spoil me. Don't spoil me. Even though I did find out what happened in The Last of Us, but that was my own fault. But don't. Yeah. I'm not proactively looking out for anything.
Found out one thing that happens in The Last of Us Part 2. No one tell him anything else. You know what that one thing is if you're in the know. If you don't, you don't want to know.
Yeah. You know.
You know, but you don't know. All right.